I see your demons, I'm telling them it's on sight. I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh. Try to correct me.
In case someone didn't listen to the other podcast, just give us a quick rundown.
Yep.
Who is in front of us right now?
Yes. Well, let me begin by saying I appreciate y'all letting me come back. I think in the speaker, podcast, guest, creation, content, all world, being asked once is cool. Because people kind of roll the dice on you. Being asked twice means you said at least one thing that was valuable enough. They said they want to hear you say it again, but the goal is 3. So if you can hit 3, then you've really done something, or you just found a friend. So either way, I'll take
or you just paid them or something.
That's hey, don't tell everybody. So
okay.
So yeah, my name is Rocky Garza. I've been a speaker and a coaching consultant for about the last decade. Been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years or so in a variety of ways. And really now I'm 41. I've been married. It'll be 15 years next month. I got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I say that because that is absolutely the most significant part of my life. Business is fun, speaking is fun, coaching is fun. Clients come and go, but I'll have my wife and my kids forever. And so for me, I have really spent the last decade trying to refine methods and processes and systems that allow individuals to have a deep sense of self-clarity. I think most individuals know who they are. We just lack the language to describe it. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. We're going to cover a part of that when we're together later on this year. Talk about self-confidence, but not in the like, rah, I feel good. Yeah. Like a self-confidence, meaning like a deep convictional belief about who I am and the difference and understanding the difference between a confirmation and an affirmation. Maybe we can talk about that today. And then lastly, really the element of self-responsibility. So do I understand what life is like in the journey? The phrase we use often is like life is meant to be lived in the continue. A full life is lived in the valley, and not in a valley like below surface, the valley of in between the peaks. Climbing to the mountaintop perpetually is exhaustive. I think it's fun occasionally, but it's not. Life is not meant to be lived on the mountaintop. It's lonely, it's tired, it's cold, it's windy. There's nothing fun up there. But the occasional view is awesome. After the view, you recognize I now have to get off this thing. And so the joy of coming down the mountain to go back into the valley, life is meant to be lived in the valley. And so I think that's how I view self-responsibility. That's how I view the idea of the journey. Destinations are fun, but the only thing that happens once you get there is you typically go back home. So why don't we just enjoy the journey along the way?
So much sound
Here we go.
right there. Actually,
I love it.
Did you say confirmation with affirmation?
Yeah. So I think as we've done work with individuals, teams, whoever, in looking at self-confidence. So if I could oversimplify confidence is simply the belief that something is good. That's what confidence is, right? Like we came in, we sat down on these chairs. I watched us all. None of us inspected the chair before we sat down.
No.
Right? We just sat down. Why? Because on first glance, history, the chair is good. You guys sat here yesterday, right? I've been here before. I trusted you wouldn't put me in a chair, and a guest sat here yesterday and they didn't seem to fall over. We believe that it's good. So we had confidence in the chair. Why? Because the chair is good. I think self-confidence at its core is the same thing. It's not this overwhelming ego and pride and puff up and nobody can touch me and look at this and all these, my coach always calls them vanity metrics, right? The vanity metrics to go like, yeah, but look how many this I have and this I have. That's not confidence. Confidence is just the ability to believe that you are good. In whatever you're doing or whatever aspect or whatever part of character or nature of you are, is the belief that something is good. When we lack self-confidence, we lack the belief that we are good at its most root level. Now, it's very complex on how we got there. Why do we think it's bad? Or why do we think it's good? Or why do we think it's neutral? How do we not know? There's a whole other process we go through to discover that. But I think oftentimes there's 2 steps required to go from what we would call the imposter's voice, right? I think many individuals, I don't know if I've ever met a person in my life that to some degree didn't have imposter syndrome to some point, right? We all have a voice in our head that's like, hey, you're not going to be able to do it, right? Like there's always that thing. To me, there's kind of like a 2-3-fold process to go from the imposter's voice to deep convictional belief about we are good. The first is identifying where did it come from? Why do I look in the mirror and go, Rocky, you're too intense? Why do I think I'm too intense? TOO. Who told me that? Where did that come from? How did that even get in my head? Well, I've been told my whole life I'm too intense. So that's what we say, a story told to us about us. Well, then what happens is we tell stories to ourselves. I go look at their face. It's not going to work. Calm down. I get on stage. Hey, all right, welcome Rocky to the stage. He's going to be with us. It's 10 a.m. Rocky's going to be with us until lunch, and we'll break for lunch. And I walk out. People are like, yeah. Did he say 10 a.m. to lunch? What are we doing here? So Rocky walks out. I'm like, hey, this is not, in my mind, it's not going to work. Oh my gosh, why did they do? I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have. Right? And you're mid like, everybody, welcome, glad you're here. So pumped to be with you. And in your head, you're like, it's not going to work. You better bail now, figure it out. So that's the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. Where those two stories collide, and we use the word collision on purpose, there's always an impact. The impact of that is fear, doubt, lie, obstacle, insecurity. Or I believe the opportunity we have is the result of that collision can be a deep convictional truth about what is good. So back to your point, confirmation and affirmation. Once I identify the lie, now I can come to discover the truth. The truth is not I am too intense. The truth is I am intense. Hard stop. But that's just the confirmation. Confirmation just says it's true. You book a flight on American Airlines, what kind of email do they send you?
Confirmation email.
Do you know how much more flights I would book with American if they started sending me affirmation emails? If they would send me an email that says, hey, not only is it true you booked a flight, but it's going to be good. Oh, it is? Oh, let me book another flight with you. They don't do that though. They only tell you what's true. They don't actually give you confidence about what is good. If they did, I think they'd make a lot more money, right? By the way, if you do that, I want 1%. So we have confirmation about what is true. When affirmation for us is not necessarily in front of the mirror, I love my hair, I love my dog. I mean, that's fine, but that's not what I mean. I am intense, not full stop, comma, and I am good. And confirmation is just, confirmation equals truth. Affirmation equals truth plus good. And the goodness typically I find is where confidence exists, personally, professionally, in a business, in any of those factors. So if we can find a way to identify where the story came from, we can identify what is true. And if we're willing to do the work to identify what is good, we walk ourselves from confirmation into an affirmation, which actually allows us to see that there is a good inherent goodness in who we are, in what we are doing, and how we operate in the world.
You know, and I wanna dive deeper on that because that's one of is that what you call you rediscovering you?
So you discovering you is going to be something totally different. What I just described to you is the imposter within.
Oh man, so no, man, just kidding. We're gonna get so much. So I wanna touch on what you just talked about because I think you did that the first time we met you.
Mm-hmm. At that VIP lunch. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's when I was telling you guys like, come on in, like, and then you guys left too fast, and I was like, what just happened? Ruben was like, you have to watch this guy. And I went in there and I was there with my little cousins. So, but I have something to say. So I love what you just said because I actually think you can apply that to society and people as well. So I know you applied individually, but as you were saying all this, there's a lot of people out there that really, truly don't have confidence in humanity or in other people. They don't believe that people are good. And then because they don't believe it, even when someone does good, there's no affirmation coming from us to the world. So I wonder if this could also be applied to society as a whole and not just individually. Because like I have friends that are like, man, I just don't trust people. I just don't have confidence in others. I think people are out for themselves. And I'm like, well, I don't. I do. I have a belief that everybody's good and that they might be going through rocky moments, right? But like, I like what you just said because now you can also do that for society as a whole. What lies are we being told, right?
Yep. Well, and the same thing applies. We're going to come to that in just a second. The same thing applies to your business. So the reason we teach people, we call it the confidence method. The reason we teach you that method is because take it to your business. Stories told to you about you. That's your brand. You don't control your brand. Your brand is what people are saying about you. Right? We all think, what's my personal brand? Whatever people are saying, that's your personal brand. It's not what you're telling me. What the stories you tell yourself about yourself are your marketing. I get to control that narrative, right? You don't get to control the narrative of your brand. You get to control the narrative of your marketing. So stories told to me about me, brand, what exists out there. Stories I tell myself about myself, marketing, what exists out there. The collision of those two stories create an impact in the world based on your business. Is that impact something that we are constantly trying to fight against something that's being said about us, our brand? And are we perpetually spinning our wheels to try to convince people we're something we're not? Or do we believe the truth about what we do, what we offer, and how it operates? And we find the goodness in that, and all of a sudden our brand and our marketing work together to create a truth about our business. It works as an individual. It works in a business. It works in your family. To your point, you jumped all the way to humanity. We'll come back one step first and go like, what about your neighborhood?
Yeah.
What about your city? What about your network and your community? If you're on a team, what about your staff? Do you walk into your office, those of you that own businesses, do you walk in on a regular basis and kind of presume someone screwed something up? Or do you presume they absolutely try to do their very best?
That's a good point.
That singular thought will change the trajectory of you walking into a meeting.
But why do we tend to presume, I just imagine people walk in and they almost walk in knowing they're going to have to put out a fire. Like, I don't know about you, but when I would wake up and I would go to work, I'm like, yeah, let's get it.
That's true.
Like, if there's no fires, I almost feel like someone's not communicating with me, but it's not true, right?
Okay, great. You make a really great point. You didn't even know it.
Hey, are you ready to challenge yourself? Mark your calendars for the event of the year, the Cleaning Profits Takeover Edition, happening in Denver, Colorado from September 24 to 26. Head over to event.cleaningprofits.com for all the details. For being listeners, use code CEO30 for a 30% discount. See you there.
We're not surprised by that. We're surprised when we don't have a problem. Where I believe we begin to it falls apart is we go, my business solves problems. I'm going to go to work. There probably is problems. What's the fire I got to put out? And who's the idiot who caused the fire? So then we walk in going, here we go.
Another day, another dollar. Yeah.
Let's go see who ruined something today. Wait a second, I thought we were in the business of I thought we should expect to have problems. Isn't that what we do? Everything, this is dramatic, I shouldn't say everything. Most things that we are spending dollars on, personally or professionally, are some way for us to consolidate time, no matter what it is, right? You both are drinking an energy drink. The reason you bought that is to compress time.
Yeah.
Because you need rest, but you didn't get rest, which means you need energy. So to compress time of energy, you took an energy drink to give that back to you. You compress time. I couldn't have sleep. How do I compress my time? Energy drink.
Yeah.
Bottled water, gas station. Water literally is in America. We got water everywhere.
Yep.
We will go pay $3, $4, $5 at the airport, $9 for water.
Yep.
To compress time. Otherwise, you're going to have to go outside, dig a hole, find a pump, filter. You don't want to do all that. We call it convenience. I would argue it's the compression of time. Everything we're doing.
I would agree with that.
So what does that mean? That means that somebody solved a problem.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to have problems. If people are paying you to compress time for them, you should expect to have problems. But problems are not always directly equated to the value of another human being or necessarily that they're at fault. But as business owners, as leaders, as pick whatever word we'd label ourselves, we tend to, by default, believe that most things are bad because we live most of our life on our heels, because we live most of our life reactively, because we walk into most scenarios looking for fires to put out, not looking for additional ways to prevent them from happening.
So I have a question for you. I think there's probably a lot of people that could relate to that, living life on their heels, living life reactively. If they're listening to this right now and they're saying, well, listen, I know that I have to put out fires in my business. Maybe those fires aren't always a people problem. Maybe it's a business problem, right? And they just don't pinpoint the business. What would you say to that person? Like, how do you switch that reactiveness to, would it be a stillness? Would it be a proactiveness? Like, what's that perspective change?
Yeah. So first I'd buy a ticket and I'd come to the event because that's what we're going to spend multiple hours
doing. Boom. Let's go.
Event.cleaningprofits.com.
Let's go.
So what we would call that is would allow us to go through a process called the upside down. So most naturally, we tend to, as humans, we think reactively, right? And so we're going to go through a process together when we're together at the event. And we're going to go through a process. I'm going to teach you the upside down. And so it's a way for us to begin to look at how does our brain work most naturally? What do we think about? What do we fear? What do we really hope? And someday I hope I'm able to accomplish this. Yeah. And by default, that's how our brain works, right? Without giving too much away to you, that's how we do it. Our thoughts and what am I afraid of? But if I really wish I could, but if there was one thing I could, and we think that way all day long.
Yeah.
Right. And occasionally about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we go to that, oh man, I just wish I could. And when we find ourselves saying, I just wish, we've stopped long enough to recognize whatever we've been doing is not what we wished. Right. So I think it's just a little trigger for yourself. If you find yourself midday going, I just wish we could, my answer is, why didn't you start there?
Yep.
Right. It's 1 p.m. You're at a building, you're doing work, and you're thinking, oh, why did we not? I just wish I would have. That's probably the first thing you should put on your to-do list tomorrow, by the way, whatever it is that you're saying, right? We'll get in more detail at the event. But as we go through and think through that, we think reactively. So that doesn't make us bad or broken or wrong. That makes us human beings who have been thorough and conditioned to survive. So we know it's safer for us to be on our heels. So that way, if something comes, we can dodge it. Most of us, without deep practice, tend to take a step backwards from things as opposed to a step into things. And for some degree, that's not a bad idea. Like, let me be very clear. Sometimes you should not get hit just because you want to show that you can take it. Like, that's not smart, right? However, because that's the way that we're thinking most often, we assume most things are going to hit us, as opposed to maybe the ball's not going to hit you. Maybe you were actually made to catch it, but we don't posture ourselves in that way. And so my hope would be, as we go through the upside down, as we think about our thoughts, fears, hopes, and dreams, and we look in this order and we say, wow, these things are connected like this, and this doesn't make any sense. And to go, what we call the upside down is we call to invert it. So the easiest way for us to do this, right? You be my example, and we'll show what we do with the upside down.
Here we go.
Okay?
Woo!
What do you think about most?
My family.
Tell me about that.
I think about, am I setting a good example for my household?
Tell me about that.
I think about what I'm doing today. Is that setting up more for tomorrow, and just paving a path for like my boys to represent.
And what do you hope is at the end of that path?
Generational habits for my boys.
Okay. All right. So pause there. Okay. Great job. We said, what do you think about most? My family. Not a wrong answer, just not a full answer.
Yep.
Well, then you said after that, well,
I said, I think about what I'm doing right now to set the example.
okay. And then we said, and what we mean by set the example is,
Actually thinking about generational habits and how I can put that onto my boys.
okay. So we're going to hit the same thing. I'm going to give it back to you, but we're going to go into the upside down.
Okay.
What do you think about most?
How to create generational habits to give to my kids.
Because
I need to focus on what I'm doing today to set the example.
Because I really love
my family. Yeah.
One of those goes reactive. What do you think about most of my family? Shh. Okay, where are they? What do they need? What do they got? Do we have enough money? Do we pay the bills? How are the kids? How is school? Do we get the snacks? What are they a part of? Where am I? I'm traveling right now. I should have been at home. I'm probably letting them down. What's my wife doing? I didn't even know. I mean, I know. So I'm talking to myself basically. So I know what's going on in our head.
Totally.
That's very good.
What if though, if we went to the upside down, we woke up in the morning, and instead of, even though we attempt for it to be good natured, I'm thinking about my family, we went, today is going to be another pin that I go, I'm paving the way generationally to create significant habits to change the life of my family.
Shoo.
First thing, right? 30 minutes later, kids come in, acting a fool. It's Friday. It's 8 a.m. Everyone's losing their mind. We don't know why, right? Hey, guys, come here. Put your hands on my face. I don't want to, Dad. Come here. Just get down on the knee. Put your hands on my face. Every time my daughter is losing her mind. And as she thinks it's funny to put her hands on my head because I'm bald. And so she puts her hands on my head. No matter how upset she is, every time, immediately, everything decompresses. If I'm mad or frustrated, I'll say, come here, put your hands on my face. Why? Please do it. As soon as she touches me, everything goes down. You can't yell. You can't scream at a 5-year-old when they're 4 inches from you and their hands are on your face. Well, one of those is a proactive approach as opposed to what I most naturally want to do is a reactive approach. Because what I'm running through my head is, right? I don't want to just build a legacy. I don't want to just have something great when I die. I want to build, live, and leave a legacy of curiosity, care, and compassion, right? And so in that instance, that's what I'm thinking all day, every day, as often as I can. So I'm about to freak out. I'm feeling it. I'm about to yell. If you don't get, I'm going to build, live, and leave a legacy of care. Marlo, come here. I don't want to. Put your hands on my face. No. I'll come to you then. Put your hands on my face.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by Cinch. If you're ready to take your commercial cleaning business to the next level, we have you covered. Maybe you're struggling with how to bid, how to create professional-looking proposals, or just how to ensure your customers' accounts are actually being cleaned at night. Introducing Cinch Janitorial Software. Cinch is a simple, user-friendly software that eliminates these types of struggles that you probably know all too well. Cinch simplifies your entire process and will supercharge your success because they remove paperwork headaches while creating a scalable, efficient, and profitable cleaning business. Get your free demo of Cinch at cleancinch.com. They're here to turn your business into a success story. That's cleancinch, CINCH.com. It's simple, it's Cinch.
Let's actually be proactive towards building, living, and leaving a legacy of curiosity, care, and compassion. Let's not just hope they say that about me when I'm gone. So how do I actively show it now? I have to be proactive in my approach. I have to change the way that I'm thinking. And I've got to get to the root of what it is I actually want and ask myself why I'm not actually pursuing that today, as opposed to hoping that I'm going to magically arrive there in 3 years once we get X amount of things accomplished.
Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of people hope for that destination, as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, tomorrow, 5 years from now. And I know I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And that upside down theory is really good, actually.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it works on anything. Take any question, start with it, give me 3, tell me about that, flip it around and read it again, immensely clarified. What's wrong? I'm mad. Okay. Tell me about that. I'm just so frustrated. I feel like I ask people to do stuff all the time and nobody is doing what I'm asking. Tell me about that. I work so hard to put things in order, processes, plans, procedures. Like I'm laying the framework and it's like people are just ignoring me. Tell me about that. I've been ignored my whole life, no matter how much I've been able to accomplish, and it doesn't feel like anyone appreciates me. Tell me about that. I'm tired. And I'm tired of not being appreciated for the work I'm doing, for the amount of people I care about. So you're tired and you don't feel appreciated. And you've attempted to be appreciated by putting together process and procedures to make people successful. When they don't follow those, it makes you feel disrespected. And when you feel disrespected and unappreciated, it makes you angry. Yes. That's a very different conversation with our leadership and our team meeting once a week than going, hey guys, I'm pissed. Because we're all going to go, what's new?
The what's new factor is funny. I think how you show up is important. And I think a lot of people get in this routine of just showing up because it's a habit that they know how to do. And you're right. It probably comes from a reactive state. I have a question for you on, do you call this the upside down theory? Mm-hmm. What do you call it? Okay, awesome. Could you do, so we just did this like with my life. You just did this with a fake scenario problem. If you're a business owner listening to this, you could just do this with a team goal, a business goal. And it's just like really sounds like drilling down the specifics of what the real end goal is. Would that be correct?
Yeah, 100%. We have so we recently introduced into our ecosystem, meaning like that's a very stupid way to say that. We recently created and launched a process called the EPS matrix for our clients. Right? I gave you I've been corporate too long. I gave you the corporate spiel. That's not what we did. We created an assessment called the EPS matrix, the 8 points of success matrix. So it's a 64 question assessment that you take yourself. You assess yourself from everything. It's got 7 ratings that you could give yourself based on this question. You have no idea what the questions are, what they're about, meaning like what category you just answer. They're all randomized. So you answer these 64 questions. Thanks so much. You're done. We don't tell you anything. We gather all your results. We take those results back and we're able to calculate 9 scores based on those questions. So your number 1 score is your overall score of success. This is not us telling you you're successful. This is you telling us if you think you're successful, right? And when we say successful, it's based on 8 pillars of success. So you have an overall score. Let's say you score on average, you scored a 6.5 out of 10, right? Okay, so your overall success score as of today, 6.5. We then have 8 other scores. Every category has its own numeric value based on a set of 10 of how you could be 5, 5.5, 6.2, 7.8, whatever it is. So what we do is we show you both your overall score. We show you your individual scores on eight categories on this round wheel, and it's got 8 segments in it. And then we color in up to what your score is on each one. So you have what we say, we're creating a visualization for the intangible things in life you're hoping to achieve that you can't see. We want you to be able to reflect those back in some sort of numeric value to be able to see. And so, we find when we do this, then we walk our clients through and where are you at and where do you want to focus? And let's say someone says physical, they scored a 4, let's say. Okay, so you want to improve your physical health. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what is your goal? Well, I got to get healthy. It's not really a goal, but okay, we'll start there, right? So I want to be healthy. So we literally have a worksheet. It's called the upside down. You start with, I want to get healthy. And then it says, tell me about that. And you fill it out. And we do it 5 times. I can almost guarantee you at the end, every single time you end up with a daily habit that will drive towards what you thought your goal was. Because most of the time we say we want to get healthy, but we have no idea what that means. Now we have some context about what we think we should do. Some go, we're going to track our food. Some say we're going to have macros. Some say we're going to get a coach. Some of us say, I'm just going to watch what I eat. You've been watching what you're eating for the last 40 years. You've watched it go from that fork to that mouth and ain't nothing changed. I don't think watching what you eat is going to do it. But in almost every time it gets down to something daily to go, I'm going to do 10,000 steps. Awesome. But we have a really hard time starting there because we don't typically think really granularly. We think the destination.
Yeah.
I'm going to wake up and go to the pool and I'm going to be shredded. When's the last time you were shredded? Never been shredded. Probably not going to end up there. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't or you couldn't. I'm just going to tell you if that's your goal, you're probably not. But what could you do? I don't even know where to start. I agree. Let's find some place to start. And so the upside down allows us take any category, any goal, any objective. What do we mean? What do I mean? What do I mean? What do I mean? That's actually the thing that I was going for. And now I have something that I can actually tweak and adjust. Same thing in our life. I have something I can tweak and I can adjust. But if we don't, we're on our heels. We're living reactively. And it's really, really hard to score points on defense. Most of us right now are playing life on defense.
How can I decide? So I like that because now any scenario, any scenario where you have to almost like think about it and be like, why do I feel weird? Like I thought I wanted this. I don't know if I want it, but it's usually just confusion. Mm-hmm. So I like that. Tell me more about that. Then you get back to your, it's almost like it always brings you back to your core, back to your root. And you could probably do this even for the same scenario. And then you forget that you did it 6 months ago. You do it again. And then you're like, I now remember why I was doing this. It's almost like it can bring you back to your 100%. To your core and your root and your base. Like I'm going to do this as soon as we get out because I have a few scenarios right now that I'm like, I could probably run the scenarios and I want to see where I end up. Let me ask you a question though. How do people decipher if what they're putting on the top of the upside down is truly being honest and not just in a comparison mode from social media or others? Like, what if people don't know what they want? Yeah. Or do you believe everybody knows what they want? They just
no. Okay. Well, I think it's in there somewhere. I don't think everybody knows.
Can you do the exercise if you feel like maybe it's not what? Like, how do we know? Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. The exercise with?
When we're together at our event, you're not going to be able to lie because you're going to be with me for multiple hours. And at some point, and I mean this in the kindest way possible, I'm just going to wear you down that you're just going to be honest. So I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, I think for me, I don't want to go too far off a tangent because we talked about this a little bit last time. I think I don't even want to use the word instant gratification because that's not it. But the instant result, the like, oh, there's a tip, trick, add it, did it, solved it. Now I'll be this forever.
Yeah, the hack.
Right? Like look at this life hack. There's no such thing. Life hacks don't exist. There are thoughtful, intentional decisions that you find to be most effective and efficient for your life. And then we call them a hack. It's not a hack.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nothing is hacked.
Yep.
It takes work. Now, somebody may have created a product that compress time for you in such a way that you feel like it's a hack, but it's not a hack. That doesn't exist. So I think the duration of time needed, most of us really, really want to be honest. Most of us really, really just want to tell the truth. And we want a place to go, okay, look, this is what I want. But there's so much we get caught up in that we don't feel as though we have the freedom to be able to communicate that. Yeah. So we just go with whatever the first thing that comes out of our mind, first thing that pops off in our head, so that we can be done with it. Because we think we're compressing time for ourselves by just choosing something, rather than taking the thoughtful time to really go, wait a second, what do I want? And I would say any individual who's willing to ask themselves, what do I want? And who is honestly willing to say, I don't know, is the very best answer you could come up with. Because that's the moment where there's kind of a 3-part process, and we'll talk about this at the event. We'll kind of lay the groundwork for this. To me, this is probably the last 6 months really discovering language for this. I think when what most of us want are looking for some catalyst of change, right? So we're going to go to the upside down. We want some kind of catalyst. Like, tell me I need that thing, right? Most of us go to events. Why? Because like I'm looking for that thing. I'm just looking for that one thing that I needed, that one spark, that one. And I think that's very true. That's not knocking events. I think that's true. I think we're looking for, right? I think that's also why like this is bad marketing for myself. That's why I don't really like events. Like for me as an attendee, I love speaking at them, which is kind of weird. Maybe that makes me an ironic individual. But we're looking for this catalytic thing, right? This catalytic spark. Well, where does that come from? Well, I find that catalytic moment comes right after deep moments of clarity. And upon that moment of clarity, we're like, there it is. It's like we got the map. We can see it light at the end of the tunnel. Let's go. Well, where does the moments of clarity come from? Well, I think deep moments of clarity come just after deep moments of vulnerability, right? Where we're willing to get vulnerable, meaning we're allowing ourselves to see and be seen, to really see what's out there, to go, what do I really want? Be honest. What do I really want? Well, vulnerability breeds clarity. Clarity breeds catalytic moment. Well, most of us don't get to step 1. So how do we create moments of vulnerability? I think we have to create the opportunity to have a long duration. Long is relative, longer than 30 minutes. A long duration of time to be present with ourselves. That breeds vulnerability.
Wild.
Right? So we're going to, off the top of my head, you guys will know more than me because I forgot. When I'm with you at the conference, we're going to be together for 3 hours, I think is how much time I have. About-ish. Some people call it roughly. Now I know you're probably thinking, 3 hours? What are you going to talk to us about for 3 hours? Well, in full transparency, I'm not going to talk to you for 3 hours. You're going to talk to you for a bunch of that. And the problem is that most of us don't do that.
I agree.
That's one of my number one hangups with most events, even that I go to and get paid to speak at, is that we make them so fast.
Yeah.
With so many things, right? And there's a good balance. You don't want to just have a conference and it's just 2 people for 3 days each, and that doesn't sound fun either,
or
right?
you're inside your head all day.
That's right. Like there's a good, and I think that's one thing I really value about you guys. You do a really good job of managing that tension of like long duration, and then let's do a few speed. Like I think that's more natural to how our brain operates. Opportunity to be present leads to vulnerability. Yeah. Vulnerability leads to clarity. Clarity leads to a catalytic change. And the change you're looking for doesn't come because you sat someplace for 30 minutes. The catalytic change you're looking for comes because you stayed fully present for a long duration of time, were willing to be really clear and honest with yourself, and happen to see things clearly for the first time. Now you're equipped and prepared to go and make a change.
That right there, what you just said is, I think it's how you can see people change very fast, very quick, but in a good way. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a friend, like you haven't seen in, I don't know, a month, or you feel like you saw him 2 weeks ago, and then you're like,
who are you?
Yeah, you seem very different. What's going on? And they're like, I just feel different. I am different. And then you're like, what? So recently, I've been learning to not have my phone, or to just be with myself, to be present, to be literally, like we recently went to a church and we just sat there in just complete silence. When you're in complete silence and none of you're not being stimulated by sound, by sight, there's no stimulation. You're just there. You go inward, yeah. And then you start being very vulnerable with yourself. And then I don't know, you're like, oh, that's the next step. Oh, that's who I want to be. Oh, this is what I'm about. That's really cool. And then you start journaling. I like journaling it because then I forget.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone though when they do get that clarity? And then you get that clarity, you feel it, you know it, you rock it, you almost like lock it in your soul, you want to say. And then you come back into the real world and you decide to share it. Because how many of us have shared it when we feel something? We're like, babe, bro, check this out. And then the first thing they do is, that's not you, bro. Well, that's not what? Like a business owner right now listening to this, I know for a fact a lot of them have said like, after doing some social, you know what I really want to do? Just want to spend time with my family. I actually don't want to scale right now. I actually don't want to scale at all. I'm good with 100 employees, 50 employees. I'm living the life. And then their coworkers or their network says, no, I think you're going through something.
You're complacent.
Yeah, I don't know. You're not really pushing. What advice would you give to someone like that where some of them listening, I know for a fact they already feel like good, but then they look at someone else or their influence themselves tells them like, I don't think you know what you want after they had that moment of clarity. How do you hold on to that moment?
You probably need to change the people that you're hanging out with.
Interesting.
Imagine over 300 cleaning executives, all under one roof, ready to connect, collaborate, and build a community. Join your hosts, James Harper and Angel Sandoval, 11 keynote speakers and 8 expert panelists sharing the blueprint to scale your life and business. Head over to event.cleaningprofits.com for all the details. For being listeners, use code CEO30 for a 30% discount. See you there.
I think because I would say they don't actually know you. They have a version of you they believe you need to become.
There it is.
Not the version of you that you desire to become. So if I don't know you well enough to know who you are becoming, how will I ever know that you have actually become that person?
Yeah.
But if I have an idea of who I think you need to become, well, then I can always point you to the thing you're not. I can't point you to the thing you are unless I am aware of who you're becoming. Then I can point you to who you are. So I'm not saying you have bad friends. They probably have good intentions. The impact of their intentions, however, may not be beneficial to you, right? And so I was recently in a conversation. This will answer your question here. What do we tell a business owner? They've got 50 to 100 employees. They're doing X amount of revenue. They feel good. Life is good, sustainable. They have good processes. You know, clients come in, clients come out, but they're doing their thing. What do we do with that? How do we serve them? Okay, great thought. Great question. So I think number one is we're going to stop making sustainability a bad word, right? Sustainability and scalability are not antonyms. They're not opposites, right? I would venture to bet it is exponentially harder to sustain than it is to scale.
Totally.
Right? Find me someone. I don't care how quickly you scaled your business. That doesn't say much to me. Find me someone who's maintained revenue with a 5 to 7% growth just to keep up with life for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Find me that person. That person's doing something. Right? Yeah, but they didn't scale to 15 figures. Bro, you can't even count to 15. Just calm down. You don't need 15 figures. What do you want? What kind of life do you want? What do you want for your? Yeah, but if I had more, I had more employees, I could have more. Great, if that's what you want. Is that what you want? I don't know. I agree. If you don't know, don't grow. Somebody could put that on a shirt.
Yeah. No doubt, dude.
That's a bad idea, right?
Wouldn't sell though.
It wouldn't sell. We'd sell 3.
Oh man, dude, that is some real stuff. If you don't know, don't grow.
Because we all have this idea of, we get on social, we get on there, talk to our friend, we're in our mastermind group, we're talking to our mentor. And I get it. Like I feel the burn too, right? like in the most kind way, sign me up. Find me the mechanism, you know? Like, I want the direct deposits to just be flying in. I don't know though. I don't know if I do. I really like throwing the baseball in my front yard at 3:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I like date night with my wife. I like coffee on Saturday with my community. I like, after this, I'm gonna go back and have a meeting this morning with my team and have one coaching session, and then I'm gonna go play golf with my mentor this afternoon. And he's awesome and old and is wise, and we don't keep score because we both suck, and it's really fun, and we just try not to lose golf balls, and it's so good. I like that, I think. Went to my grandma's house this week and gonna try to go there every week now. It's a new, saying that here publicly for accountability, trying to go to my grandma's house every week and just go swimming and have dinner because she's gonna die. And she spent her whole life raising me. I like that. And I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm not telling you that I'm better. I'm not telling you if you want to scale and go to 10 figures, do it. Do it if that's what you want, though.
I think so many people right now, they, when you were talking about people around them saying, oh, you don't want that, or no, you're being complacent if you don't want the growth. And like, even if they're doing good, they have the lifestyle that they want. They probably haven't came public with their network around them, with who they actually want to be or who they are. Hey, this is actually what I want, because I've fallen guilty over the years into the pressure of, no, we got to keep grinding or going or whatever the case may be, or I have to be this person. I have a podcast. I have to be more rah. But it's like, that's not who I am. And I'm okay with that. But I think a lot of people just aren't publicly honest with who they are. And when I say publicly, I'm not even talking about on Instagram. Maybe publicly honest with who you are in front of your team.
For sure. Well, but if we take a step back and say none of us are right or wrong or good or bad, we call this area space, the momentary pause to assess what is. So let's pretend with the three of us are saying, we're not saying it's good, bad, right, wrong, positive, negative. We don't know. We're just, we're going to have space to go, what do we think is true for us, right? Whenever we have decided that we're going to make a decision about a convictional belief about something we're going to do or we're going to build, right? Why are we so concerned with what someone else thinks about the decision we are making that only impacts our life? Why do we get so overwhelmed by what we think they're going to think about the decision that doesn't impact them? But we will give no time to really considering the decision that absolutely impacts us. I'm guilty of it too, right? So I'm not saying I haven't solved or figured out. We all do it, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask the question.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are we doing? Why are we so concerned? I'll phrase it this way because it's easier. Why are you so concerned? Why are you so worried about what you think they're going to think about a decision that only impacts your life, the life of your family, the people closest to you, your staff? Build the business the way that you want to build it, that you can go to bed at night hanging your hat on something that you say, we are doing something that we deeply believe in. By all means, let your competitors do what it is that they're going to do. If you're providing a service in a way that is not just sustainable, but is deeply caring for people and something you deeply believe in, your competitors will not take your clients because they are not your clients. And over and over and over again, personally, professionally, relationally, we get caught in this cycle of saying, but I have to, but I have to, but I have to, but I have to. I was recently talking to a previous client of mine, super successful dude. He's been trying to pump me up and he's like, we got to do it. We got to build this app and we got to go big and we got to, he's like, I need nothing from you. I just believe in you and I want to help you. And so we had these calls every Friday for like 2.5 months, and he kept pushing, and our team was always kind of like, I don't think you get it. Like, that's not really, but okay. And and so I was actually out in El Paso, and I was out seeing him, and I was out there speaking. And so he and I had dinner, and we were talking, and I didn't expect this to happen. And he said, but you got to, like, in order to, like, really get big, like, in order to really get, like, you're just going to have to, like, pay the price. Like, everybody who gets out there, like, has to pay the price. You either pay to play, you either pay the price with your time. You can't get to this level and, like, not pay the price. You got, like, what are you willing to sacrifice? Like, because Tony Robbins, he sacrificed it. Mel Robbins, at some point, she sacrificed it. And Steve Harvey, at some points, they sacrifice. Pick a person who's at the level you think you want to be at, and they sacrifice something to get there. And I looked at him, and this is like, I said, then I don't think I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
Because my wife and my children and my family and my community and my grandparents, I can't reconcile a world where I sacrifice this so that people that I don't know me. I'm not doing that. It's not worth it. So the degree by which these people know me deeply will be the degree by which people who don't know me get a chance to know me. And that's just will be the level that we get to. And I have to make peace with that. Be very clear. That is not me trying to be boastful. That is not me saying, look how great I am. That's me saying, I'm not that concerned with how great you think I am. This is my focus for the rest of my life. Where there is time and opportunity to create impact outside of that, let's go. But at the cost of this, not for you.
Well, I have a question for you along those lines. And with that conversation you had with that person in El Paso, do you believe every, let's just successful person in that category, whatever you want to label that is, actually sacrificed their family along the way and all of that? Like,
well, he didn't say family.
They sacrificed something.
Something. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why he was saying, like, I wouldn't be willing to give up community. Or
correct. But, like,
yes,
I feel like we all sacrifice something.
I don't disagree with you, but I think they sacrifice more. Money, time, resources. I got to be careful how I say this, because I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, because I'm not saying it's right or wrong or good or bad. For me, I don't know why it's important to me, but it is. I don't want to pay to meet someone who doesn't actually want to meet me, so that they'll introduce me to someone who also doesn't really want to meet me, but because I paid, feels the need to do something for me. And that I'm not tearing up a model. I'm not. That's only a statement about Rocky Garza. I just don't want to do that. So I realize that that's also costing me something.
Yeah.
But that's costing me something that I'm willing to pay the price. I'm willing to sacrifice that, because I'm not going to sacrifice this. But you can't go and be a name like the names I mentioned, because you're going to speak 60 to 80 times a year.
Yeah.
You have to. How else do you get in front of hundreds of thousands of people live if you don't go live? You have to.
Yeah.
Podcast only goes so far. TikTok only goes so far, right? Like, since we were together last time, we talked about, I had one TikTok. I was like, I have one TikTok. It's pretty cool. And we've got kind of some views. Like, we had 2 other ones on Instagram. Like, we've like had 6 or 7 million views in the last 45 days. You know what changed about my life? Nothing. Literally nothing. Zero changed. Yeah, but there's 7 million people that saw you. Yeah, you know what they did for me? Nothing. So I'm glad they saw it. I hope it was beneficial. That's literally why we pay money to put content out every day. I really hope they liked it. But for like, for what? So you're gonna sacrifice something. If you're gonna be on stage 60 times a year, By 12 months, that's 5 times a month. Most of those are not going to be local. You're gone 5 times, times 2 at minimum. If you can squeeze a 48 hour in there, 10 days, probably call it 15. That's half your year.
Yeah, it's 25 weeks.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
No, sir. Not doing it.
Here's a question too for people listening. Like, how many people are sacrificing that thing that they don't want to sacrifice and not even getting that return currently?
Lots.
Yeah. And that's what sucks.
One is because I don't think they know what they want.
Preach.
We're
just doing something.
Yeah, we're just doing something.
We're just doing.
Yeah, and we're just doing.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's a
which is why when we're
in.
together at our event, we're going to stop doing and we're going to start being.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you, uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today.
I believe if you will come, buy a ticket, you will show up and you will be present. You will walk away. I guarantee you will walk away with a clearer picture of who you are becoming, which will radically change what you're doing. But stop going to events trying to change what you're doing. Start going to events and start identifying who you're going to become. I got to get healthy. You're not the kind of person that's healthy. You're not a healthy person. Yeah, but I'm going to start working out. It doesn't matter. You're not a healthy person. You've not established what is required internally to become that kind of individual. Yeah, but you don't know how hard I work. I didn't say you weren't a hard worker. Just don't mistake activity for progress. Most of us are good at activity.
Yep.
But we get really frustrated that we don't have the progress we want. It's because we have to be really clear about who we're becoming.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to do this. I think it's going to be, I love, being able to look inside, right? And I think that that's also how, in my opinion, God speaks to you, right? We had a priest here that he's like, everybody's looking for all these external confirmations from the world that you are being who you are. He's like, no. He's like, it's all internal. And God speaks to you and you know who you are. And so I know for a fact that when you give them this time for them to look internally, they're going to be able to go back to the roots. I know me, myself, I go back to it. And then I found this different side of me that I was like, who is it? Like, what, dude? How long have you been in here? It's like it's almost like you find that you're looking at yourself. And then my friend's like, then after that, you got to take the steps to start taking off. He calls it the old wineskin. And he's like, and my mom says it too, is like, imagine like you burn your whole skin and you have to slowly start taking it off. She's like, it's the most painful process ever. I'm sure when you found that other Rocky in you and you're like, oh, you started taking the actions, it's painful. Because then you're taking it off and then the external world's like, no, don't take it off. This is what I knew. Don't take it off. And then you're like, nope, I got to slowly take off that old armor, put on this new armor. You know what I'm saying? But when you do put it fully on, it feels like you're unshakable in who you are.
That's right.
And I love that about you, man. I know, like, if I called you and say, hey, I need you to come speak for a week or whatever, you'll be like, absolutely not. And they'll be like, we'll pay you $100,000. You'll be like, that maybe, but no. Because I promised my kid I was going to play basketball or I was going to play baseball or I was going to visit my grandma, and I already said I was going to go once a week, so I cannot leave once a week, right? And so I love that, man. I love that. Let me ask you one question here. People are thinking about it. They're starting to find them. We're going to go through this event. They're going to find themselves. What are things you can do to keep yourself holding on to that new identity that you found? Or it's not even new. It's just
your original,
your roots, your
true identity,
yourself. How do you keep holding on to yourself so you don't? Because you go back on Monday. I remember I had a beautiful moment on the weekend. Came back Monday, Slack messages everywhere, emails. I'm like, oh, I gotta do. again, because it's
Yep.
part of my everyday.
And that's true. I want to be very clear. The process of becoming is a lifelong process. It's not a hack. So you're going to get moments of deep clarity. You're going to go, got this catalytic thing. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's do what? And I'm going to say, sit in it. Marinate in it.
Yeah.
I know that tomorrow you have a job to do, and there's a lot of people counting you to that job. You should probably show up and do that job.
Yeah.
But you should sit in. What did you find and what did you discover? What's real and what's true? Let's sit in that for just a little bit. Yeah, but what am I supposed to do? You seem pretty good at whatever you're doing. You should probably keep doing that. But I want you to consider this time, just give yourself 10 seconds before you take a step, right? When we think about silence, people always tend to say, we're in a meeting. And they're like, sorry, I just had to say something because I really hate. How do we describe silence? What's the word we all use? Oh my gosh, I freaking hate when we have awkward silence.
Awkward silence, yeah.
Why is silence awkward?
Facts.
Silence is awkward. We call it awkward silence because we're left to our own thoughts. And I would rather be distracted with your words that I'm not listening to than attempting to sit to listen to my own. So my thing would be, how do we maintain this? Write it down. Say it out loud. Share it with someone you trust. Wake up the next day and write it down and say it out loud and share it with someone you trust. Ask yourself the process we're going to go through. I'm going to teach you a way that you can do it every 90 days. I would encourage you to ask yourself the questions I'm going to give you at the event every 90 days. We're 90 days. We're 90-day creatures. We're the 12-week year makes perfect sense. At the most right point of the earth, our earth operates in 90-day cycles. Right? How many seasons do we have?
4.
Why? Because that's how we operate best. We're seasonal creatures. We're not designed. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go hard for 6 months. No, you're not. You might, but you'll do nothing for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
We're 90-day creatures. And so how do we know where we're becoming? Well, we have to pause, right? We call it the great life myth. How do we debunk the great life? I'm gonna have a great life. No, it's a myth. A myth is a story we all tell that's never actually true. So it's the great life myth. No, the way in which we get out of the great life myth and build an actually sustainable, fulfilling life is pause and assess. Step 1, pause, assess, breathe. Just sit in it. Foster vulnerability. Be willing to be honest and be clear. Invest in yourself. However you want to define that. Time, how you eat, how you move your body, coaching, whatever. Figure it out. Invest in yourself. Only and only after pause, vulnerability, and investment in self, pursue purposeful goals. Whatever that means to you, define purposeful goals. If you live a life in those 4 arenas, you will live a deep, meaningful life. Then you will have debunked the great life myth. If you don't, you will find materialism as success. You will find the ability to productivity, and the more I do, the more I am. And on down the line, we find ourselves that we look out on every platform and all the ways in which we go, that person seems like they're happy because they have and we all describe an item.
Nowadays, we can even describe people as items.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is even wild.
Man, I love this. And you are one of the people that I think I told you last time where when you got on stage, I had 3 pages filled with notes and the activity you did, and you only had like 45 minutes. And I still have those 3 pages, and then was privileged enough to do like a half-day training with you later on. And so I'm actively going to be doing this with everyone at the event, which isn't typical for someone that's hosting the event, right? But I'm going to be in there, whatever Rocky's doing. I'm right next to y'all doing it. I have one random kind of last question for you here. You said that you're going to hang out with your mentor today. Mm-hmm. And then I heard you earlier talk about a coach, and I was just curious, someone like you, what do you do for you to continually develop?
Yeah. So when it comes professionally, I mean, I've got a business coach and really a business coach and their team. So they've got 4 or 5 people that we meet every week. They're coming in here in a couple of weeks now to like a 2.5 day strategy session with us for their year. So like, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at, and they are great at everything I'm not good at. And so I didn't hire somebody who was better at what I do than me. I'm good at what I do. I will refine my craft if I can focus on my craft. I don't need to go hire I don't need to hire a speaking coach. I'm pretty good at speaking. Yeah, but you could get better. Yeah, you know how you get better? You speak more. So if I spend all my time working in my business and not speaking, I'm never going to be a better speaker. I need someone to help me in the parts I'm terrible at, which are general fundamentals of running a business, scalability, sustainability, systems. I do not think that way. So I went out and we hired a coach. That's all they do. Every time I'm like, I know, but I don't know how to do this. They're like, boop, boop, just sent you a document. Here's how it's all broken down in a full process and a Monday board. I'm like, this is amazing, right? Like, so for me, it's on that end. I've got a couple people in my life that I meet with regularly. One of them, the guy I'm going to go play golf with today, older gentleman. He's smart and he talks slow and he's not in a hurry. And he reminds me that life is good. He talks like, Rocky, how you doing today, Rocky? Are you happy, Rocky? You look happy. You have a happy life, Rocky? He calls you by your name over and over and over again, which he does on purpose. I love hanging out with him because it's fulfilling to my soul. Like, it reminds me that life is short and life is very long. And so why am I in a hurry? Like, he reminds me to slow down.
Facts,
and so love hanging out with him. I love playing pickleball. I think this is a whole other episode we should do, but like
just on pickleball.
I just on pickleball. Like, I think that pickleball.
He's never played pickleball.
No,
you played pickleball? We're gonna go play pickleball.
Yeah, I think pickleball.
Play pickleball like monthly.
I think there's like I think somebody out there should write a book, because I'm not going to, but I think it'd be a good idea. Like it called The Pickleball Life, but like how you take the application of pickleball and the framework, not the game itself, but that you're typically social, because most people play a group of 4.
Yeah.
So you're with friends. You're together for about an hour or so or more, depending on how long you play. You have to be fully present. You can't be on your phone. You're getting incredible cardio workout as well as physical mobility. All of that's happening, and you get done and you don't feel like you've done anything but had a great time, and you've accomplished 4 of your 8 goals for the day in an hour and a half. So I think there's something about that, like that is a framework, that how do we take that and apply that to other areas of our life? How do we take that and apply the pickleball framework to your business? Yeah. Right? Well, we got to do this, this, and this. How do we do all that at the same time without even knowing that we're doing it? Yeah. Right? You got to think about it in a whole. Nobody would say, let's think about business. Same way we think about pickleball. Anyway, that's not why we're here. You asked me what I do for myself. I love pickleball.
I also think that age doesn't matter in pickleball. Like, it's just so much.
Bro,
like,
no, hey, find you a 64-year-old who's been playing. They will smoke you.
Dude.
Yeah.
They will not move their feet. They will place the ball flawlessly. I am sprinting, diving, and they're
no joke.
Can't win.
Man.
Can't win. It's unbelievable.
I love it. I love that.
My mom lives in this retirement community in Arizona, and I go down there and visit her, and I'm like, you know what? And I used to play shortstop, right? So I'm like, dude, I know how to move, side to side. Yeah. Dude, these old men kicked my ass,
bro. They will smoke you so hard. It's so good. So I love playing pickleball.
Hard, and they're like,
yeah. I mean, it's the amount of it is a perfect example of that. Like, more energy doesn't win. Yeah, it doesn't help really.
Yeah.
That's so good. More energy does not win.
Yeah, gosh, they work you so hard. So love playing pickleball. I do enjoy playing golf. I'm terrible at it. I'm purposely terrible at it. I'm never going to be great at it. Wow, that's dumb. I don't play enough to be great at it. So just go out there and be bad. I don't want to go spend 4 hours being mad about something. Just go spend 4 hours. And if I lose my ball and you hit in the fairway, I can tell you where my ball's going to be. It's going to be out of my pocket next to yours in the fairway, because I came to play golf with you. Yeah. Like, my handicap is like, nobody cares. Just play golf and be quiet. So at least that's how I view it. So I enjoy doing that. I mean, I love my family. I love spending time with my wife. We go on a date every week. I love spending time with my kids.
It'd be cool to interview your wife. Yeah. I would love to married to Rocky. Like, I would love to see her personality and
she'll get up here and she'll be like, I mean, yeah, it's fine. I guess he's like,
he's cool.
I don't know. He talks for, I don't know. He like coaches people. I'm like, she doesn't watch anything I put on Instagram. She doesn't watch any of my videos.
I think that's smart though.
Like, yeah. 'Cause she's like, what's the point? She was like, I know what you're great at. You go out there and be great at it. I don't need to watch it to be like, oh, you're great at it. Like, and it's really, really fulfilling. Like, she also trusts me. Like about once every year, maybe once every 6 months or so, but like once a year, like I take her team through a process in her business. And like right now I just started coaching one of the members on her team because she was like, hey, I think she needs some help. And I'd be, would you be willing to coach her? And
What is her business?
she's an interior designer.
Nice.
Yeah. So she does commercial and residential, high-end residential interior design.
If you need a interior commercial designer.
That's right.
Or residential.
GarzaInteriors.co. Yeah, she's awesome. She's really awesome. She's much smarter than me and much more detailed than me and is very empathetic and kind and thorough. And she is most of the things I am not.
So I have one question for you. Last one.
Okay.
Last one. Here.
That's the third time we've said that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. With you, every time I say last one, it's like good thing I'm watching the clock, because if not, bro, I would go 3 hours here. One of the things that I've been doing recently is I've been more present, right? Like I'll leave my phone wherever and I won't touch it. But I've been home. I went back home and I've been more present with my grandma, with my aunts, with my uncles, people that raised me that I haven't even talked to because I've been the one that's traveling. Right? Like I'm gonna go play basketball this Sunday with my how do you say it? Godfather? Mm-hmm. With the one when I was when I got baptized. Like I don't even know. I haven't seen them. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm gonna go play basketball with him. I don't even play basketball. But I get competitive. So anyways, that drinking a beer with my grandma has been one of the most satisfying things ever. She'll drink 2, I'll drink 1. She can outdrink me. I'm not going to try to drink with that lady. Mm-hmm. But you sit there and you just, what's new? Mm-hmm. And for the first time in 29 years, I had my grandma complain. I've heard my grandma complain once. She's always the happiest grandma ever. She's like, man, I'm feeling down. And I got to actually like sit there and just have her pour all why she was worried, what's going on. Oh my God. And then I got to give her a little project and we hung out. Most rewarding thing I've done, and I've done a lot of things. Why did you decide to spend the week with your grandma? Why are you committing to making that present moment with the fam?
Yeah, I mean, I think very similar to you. Like my grandparents raised me basically my whole life, and over the last year and a half or so, like I've spent a lot of energy like helping them in their real estate business and trying to get it like where it's an actual business and get it like on a computer and out of a yellow legal tablet. And like we spend a lot of energy there. And so, I manage everything for my grandparents. I pay all their bills. I manage all their accounts. My grandma doesn't know. She just uses her card. Like she writes checks and uses her card and has no questions. She doesn't bounce. Like she just lives her life. And so I think the last year and a half or so, like I felt really good about that. I felt really good about what we were doing and how we were helping and supporting them. And hey, this is what you want, and this is how you can live the life. You have to think about anything, you have to worry about anything. And I think that's true. Like I think that's a valuable thing to do. I think I thought that was going to allow me to say that I felt good about the time, effort, and energy I was expending because I was giving her a chance to live the way that she's wanted to. I think, come to find out, it was way more about me. And I've had to recently kind of work myself through various things in my life to go, what am I responsible for versus what I have willingly chosen to take responsibility of? And she didn't ask me to be responsible for her. I willingly chose to take responsibility of her. So am I actually doing her a favor? And did I actually do what she wanted? Or did I choose to do something I felt like I could control that I thought would be beneficial to her so that I would feel better? And so I think, I'm not saying she doesn't appreciate it. I think she very much does. But I don't think that's what she wants. What she wants is for me to bring her great grandkids to her house and let them swim and order food and hang out because I think she's lonely. And me writing checks on her behalf doesn't solve her loneliness issue. It actually has taken something away from her that used to give her purpose. So how do we help refine purpose and bring that back? We have to go back and do something that is meaningful to the relationship, not just a task oriented to the person. And so will I stop with the business? Will I stop with the responsibility? No, I think it's really valuable. However, what I believe that she's looking for, and at the end of the day, really what I'm looking for, is to spend as much quality time as I can with her before she goes, not to pay her back, but because today, why would I want to do something other than spend time with her?
That's why I love you. But that's why I believe that whether you're here or not, whether someone goes to the event or not, I think this is why the questions are important, because you get to the root. That right there the responsibility that actual responsibility versus the illusion of what I decided to be responsible for to make myself feel good. Yo, that's big. That right there was good. Everything was great. Oh man, I could interview this guy for like all day.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
you guys.
Thank
I
you
look
so
forward to
much.
seeing you again in September, man. And yeah, you guys trust me when I say this. You guys are not going to want to miss Rocky in person, man.
Make sure you guys get your tickets, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, and I'll be there the whole time. So if you're coming and you're thinking like, oh, because I'm pretty sure I'm on the last day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have how many days we have before that?
Two.
2 days before that, right?
Yeah.
So like if you
1.5, half,
yeah.
and then
a half and then a full and then me.
yeah.
So I got nothing but time. So if you're thinking to yourself like, yeah, but I don't know if I can do it or what am I going to do or how am I going to have? He's only going to be there. Am I going to see him? You'll see me for as long as you're there. I'll be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
come find me.
That's cool, man.
Guys, get your tickets, brother. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.